Hello, this is Rich Bunce, Walking Photographer from Walking Photographer Tours. Welcome to my first video tutorial. I'm hoping to get a lot more of these videos out over the next year, and not just on Lightroom and Photoshop, but also on location and videos in the field as well. So make sure you send us your feedback and your comments, and make sure you keep up to date on the social networks for those videos when they come out. I'm going to start with this shot here, and this is a shot I took a couple of weeks ago when we had some fresh snow here in West Yorkshire. And what was particularly cool about this snowfall was that we still had a lot of the autumn leaves on the trees, and the autumn colours were there. So with this shot in particular, you can see the autumn foliage underneath the snow that's fallen on these trees, and I thought that was a little bit different. We're kind of used to seeing these kind of bleak, barren trees in this white winter landscape. So this was a little bit different, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through how I'm going to edit this photo in Lightroom with this kind of contrast between the snow and the autumn colours in mind. Now, the first thing we'll do with most photos is just go straight into lens correction and check these boxes, and that will apply the lens profile and make those adjustments for you. If something wasn't quite right, if something was a bit much, hadn't quite worked, I'd just go into manual and check that and make any necessary adjustments I needed to make, which I don't need to do here. The next thing I do is go straight into the basic panel and look at the colour and the white balance. Now, again, the camera seems to have captured this white balance pretty well. I don't think it needs adjusting at all. Sometimes with these snow scenes they can be a little bit blue or a little bit cyan green kind of cast to them, so you just make those little adjustments there to get the right colour that you wanted. But that's looking good to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of contrast and a little bit of punch, and I'm going to do that with the white and the black slider. And the blacks, just to bring it in, a bit white. And I'm also going to add a little bit of clarity slider. Now, the clarity slider is one of those tools that people seem to get really carried away with when they first discover it, and they'll often overbake their images with this clarity. You see it quite a lot online actually, but the key thing is I very rarely go over 25 on the clarity, just because what happens is you can end up with a very unnatural looking photo if you do it too much. I'm just going to lighten up some of the shadows actually for these trees just a little bit, because I'm going to do it a little bit later on as well, so just a little bit for now. So yeah, you just, with all of these tools that I'm showing you, the idea is to try and keep the scene looking as natural as possible, and we're just enhancing it but staying true to the landscape and the scene that I was exploring at the time. Okay, so that's the kind of where I want to go with it. I think that's looking good. Maybe just bringing a bit more black. Right, and now this is the tool that's particularly useful for this scene here, and I'll just zoom in on the trees a little bit so we can see it a bit better. And this is the HSL panel, and what that enables us to do is to control individual colours and strengthen them. So what's quite good is if you're not sure what colours you want to strengthen, you can click on this button here, hover over the colours that you want to enhance, and then just click and then drag up, and you can see these sliders working, so you can see the yellows and the oranges coming out there. That's a little bit too strong. Obviously it's starting to look a bit unnatural there as well, but that's quite useful if you're not entirely sure which sliders you're going to play around with. I'm just going to deselect that and work on them individually, because I kind of know where I want to go with it. Down a little bit as well. So the reds I'm really particularly keen on bringing out, and the oranges. Okay, so I've done that, and again the same with the luminance. Just working on a similar basis. Okay, I think that's looking good to me. You can just do a little compare here. Just see that they're coming out a little bit stronger there. Just up a notch. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this brush tool here, and that populates its own panel. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to reset the previous settings just by double clicking on effect, and then I'm going to apply some now. So I'm just going to bring that in, bring in the lights, a little bit of black, and a little bit of clarity, and a little bit of saturation as well. And now I'm just going to apply this brush. I'm just going to increase the brush size a little bit so we're not here forever. And also it's worth pointing out that the feather is on 100, which means it's the softest kind of edges you can get. And I'm going to start painting over this now. And as I paint over, you should start to see a little bit of contrast appearing and a little bit of punch appearing, a little bit more vibrancy in these. Now the good thing is that it's coming across quite nice and subtle. Now if I was too heavy with these effects, you'd start to see the brush strokes, so you can see they're really obvious there. But just by keeping it nice and subtle, you just kind of keep that natural look, but you're just enhancing it and just tweaking it enough to give it that little bit extra. Now the other thing you can do, which is pretty cool, is once you've finished, or think you've finished, you can just hover over that circle that appears and it shows you anywhere that you might have missed. So maybe the top bit of this bit I could add a little bit to, and if I wanted to tweak it a little bit more, I could do that, decrease clarity a bit, fix those blacks, fix those whites till you're kind of happy with what you've got. And I think that's looking good. And then I'll just click on that brush to deactivate that panel, and I can navigate around again and just zoom out. So now we've got a picture that is not too far away from the original shot we've got, but it's a little bit more powerful in my opinion. It's celebrating those colours in those trees a bit more, it's got a bit more punch, a bit more interest to it, and it's remaining faithful to the scene. And that's the workflow of what I've done from there. I hope you found it useful and maybe seen some tools that might catch your interest for you to play around with and explore yourself. And yeah, like I say, always try and keep it as natural as possible. Don't overcook it, and well, have fun with anything that you learnt for that, and come back for more videos soon.